Hi, friends.
Hello.
So disclaimer,
Disclaimer.
these are the inner workings of our minds. We are not professionals. We are just sharing our journeys. Um, so this past month, really, especially the past 2 weeks, I've talked to quite a few people that have lost family members or just, going through a rough time missing family members. So I thought it would be a good subject for us to kind of sit and talk about and kind of ponder with you guys. So we're going to talk a little bit about death and life cycles. Um, Chris and I have a belief system that's a little bit different than just Christianity whenever it comes to death. And I really feel like that's what helps me not be so sad whenever someone does pass.
Absolutely.
Because I do believe that there is absolutely something after this.
In my mind, really, the worst part of death is what you leave behind on earth for the people around you. The ones around you suffer while you no longer do.
Yeah,
You know?
definitely. So, my heart hurts for people, that lose their lives young, that don't get to live a full life or, haven't lived out their dreams. But also, I know that what they're experiencing is where they're meant to be and where they're supposed to be. Some of us get long life cycles, some of us get short, and some of us don't know. None of us know how long we're going to be here. So I wanted to talk a little bit about how we, I don't want to say deal with, because
We process.
how we process grief, that's good.
Yes. It works very different for everybody, which is what we want to cover in this. We've gone through a lot of cycles of death lately. I've seen so many people pass by. And, in 2020, I was, in my brain thinking, there's got to be some kind of break from this.
Yeah.
Surely we'll have a grace period. And I personally have lost, 6 or 7 people this year already that I've known. Not all that I was, really close to, but people that I know, to a point where it almost just kind of feels routine now,
Yeah.
And I've come to wonder a lot if that's a normal thing or if this is just a cycle, as we put it,
Definitely. And that's why I feel it is important to ponder how we all feel about death within ourselves and how we process it. You have a little bit more experience with friends. I haven't lost any close friends.
Really?
I haven't.
Well, that's fortunate for you.
Yeah.
As of right now, but at the same time, I could say it's not fortunate for you, because when you do it for the first time, it's definitely,
I can't imagine it.
it's hard. It's really, really difficult to process and deal with. I have lost several close friends. Several. I mean, I can't even put a number on it. People that I would see on a daily basis, and then on down to people that I just knew through other people, association. And yeah, it gets really difficult at first. I now find myself distancing myself, or, for the longest time, I just wouldn't want to associate with anybody that I didn't have to, because I was afraid of feeling that feeling again, But then I've kind of learned in ways how to, I don't want to say be always prepared, but, understanding that death is part of life, and just cherishing the moments that you have with people while they're here.
Absolutely.
I really try to live in the moment, enjoy every moment, and just have good times, with people, and enjoy their presence, and honestly, you find yourselves wanting to get away, needing vacations and having all these trouble, but, you can really have vacation in your everyday life if you're around the correct people.
Yeah.
Just don't make people a chore. Don't be overexposed. That's why I think it's important to do that.
Yeah.
Take time to yourself. And so that's how I feel about the people that I'm, friends now. I definitely have a different stance on it, and that's because I've lost so many people.
Yeah.
So
You become a
if that
bit
makes
more
sense.
grateful for the aspects of people that you do love, and not as focused on things they may do or whatever that get on your nerves.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's just being grateful for who people are and not looking at them for what they're not.
Word.
Now, I've lost classmates already, which is a very odd feeling. I knew these people and I walked, the halls with them, and one of them I was like a close friend at first when I moved to Perryville. We didn't talk over the years, but still, like, the memory of him is in my heart, and it's like I'll always remember that human as we were in that moment together. Like, that connection, that memory does not go away. It's still there. But besides that, I've just lost family members. And then Chris and I actually both used to work in the nursing field, so we were both CNAs. And that's a whole different experience, but like,
Certainly.
and I feel like it was a very beautiful one for you and I to open up our world of working to.
Definitely, and it was necessary, now that I look back, that I learned how to process death in that way. It was a very valuable lesson for me.
Yeah.
And definitely aided me in, my future endeavors of losing people and dealing with and processing death.
You were already an aide for, I don't know how many years before I started.
I believe.
I was 18. Yeah, you're 3 years older than me.
That would make sense.
I was 18, so you were 21 whenever I started, and we worked in the same nursing home together. And I remember my first nursing home death, and I bawled. It was bad. I went home and thought that Dumbo would cheer me up. Well, I didn't know what Dumbo entailed.
Oh, no.
So I cried even more.
Don't their parents die in Dumbo?
Yeah, it's
that's
awful.
horrible.
Well, he gets taken away from his mom, and then I think she dies, and it's bad, and it's So I went to Chris, and I was like, I'm really like struggling with this, and he looked at me and he was like, the one thing that you need to know about working where you do, and this stayed with me, is
I don't remember this, so I'm excited to hear it.
most everybody who goes to a nursing home, they are there to pass away.
And it's important that they know that going into it, honestly.
Yeah.
Like, not being honest with them, like, it would break my heart, but there were some people that would lie to their family members and, oh, this is just for a while, or, that's not cool. Like,
At the same time,
honesty and
and that's
transparency is
taken
very
away.
important.
Like, that's not talking about the Alzheimer's dementia patients.
No.
That's talking about just,
That's like last week I was living in my apartment. I had freedom in my own car, and now I'm not allowed to leave these walls without permission.
Yeah.
Like, dude.
like, can you imagine how that feels? You know how many times I walked those halls at night and I took care of these people, and I was like, oh my God, I don't want to end up here.
Yeah.
Like, that's how I felt. But the more I worked there, and I was in the nursing field for 7 years, the more I worked in it, the more I was like, you know what? Watching my people find their routines, having their little rooms, getting their little prizes at bingo and setting up their figurines around, the friends that they made in there. I'm like, you know what? It would not be the worst thing to end up in one anyways, because I would find a way to make it work for me.
Always make the best of your situation no matter where you're at. That's definitely something we've learned along our path, Things like that are the reason that we started shooting videos in the first place, because these small outlooks that we have are,
They're
they just
unique
make
to
our
us,
world,
but also it's like a conversation starter. Like, have you thought about this? Have you talked about this with your loved ones near you? Have you thought about this for your parents someday and what they're going to go through and how you're going to deal with that?
Small side note, I absolutely love your earrings. I know that's totally
Oh,
off
thank
base, but they
you.
really vibe well with your aura and just the way you're presented
Oh my God,
today.
thank you so much. We both wear stripes today.
Yeah,
I
kind
found that, like, we didn't even plan it. But yeah, I think the youngest experience that we both had with death was Grandpa Ohms.
Yes, I would agree.
Christmas Day of 2004.
Eve.
Christmas
yeah,
Eve?
Yeah, I didn't
Okay.
even. Correction wasn't necessary. It's the same thing, but
Yeah. It doesn't matter. But it's good to know because my brain had a different date than yours did.
fair. Yeah, so we're at our dad's. We lived in an efficiency apartment in Cape Girardeau at this point on West End.
Yeah,
we were
I
living in
remember
one of the
that.
West End apartments, and we had no idea anything was going on. This was before cell phones, and Mom showed up. Heard a sad knocking. Weird how a knock can sound sad sometimes.
Yeah.
That could just be my memory of the situation. But,
Oh,
but there was
yeah.
a sad knocking at the door, and Dad opened the door, and Mom was just. And, that was the first time that, oh
We-
no, maybe something bad happened. Turned out
Yeah.
to be one of the worst memories that, I have that make up, why do you look sad? I hope it's not a situation like this, you know.
Yeah. I found it comforting, honestly, because we spent that Christmas Day, all of us sitting on Dad's big bed, and we were crying, but we were with each other and we were holding each other too.
And I definitely like to note the spectrum of how people react to
Yeah.
death while we're on this. Most definitely,
Yes.
this is very, very important, because I don't have the worst recollection in the world of this particular situation with our grandfather, because our mother was very calm, very reserved, and this is some of the strongest emotional intelligence I ever saw her exhibit, actually, you know, like, and I definitely learned a lot from this. Thank you, Mom, because that was really
Thank you,
cool.
Mom.
I don't have a bad memory of it. She was calm and presented it in a really, you know, earthly, organic manner that I understood. You know, this is what's happening.
Yeah.
We can't change it. It's okay. It happens. Life passes, and here's where we're at. And now we'll compare that to what we had noted in a previous video, the one on foster care part 2, I believe
Yeah.
it was.
With Dad.
Did we use his name? Dad's friend?
Dad's friend, yeah.
Yes, okay.
We did not use his name.
Okay, Dad's friend. When he passed away in our living room, this was opposite end of the spectrum, because it was
Yeah.
very hectic, and we had very tragic, you know, memories of this situation, because I was woke up in just a crazy stir,
Yeah.
so many hectic things going on around me, and you know that
I woke
definitely
up next
created
to
trauma
somebody
from
who
that
had passed.
situation. Right.
Or like within a 2 to 3 feet distance, and I was freaked out and young.
Yeah, and they're screaming about it, like, "Oh, he's dead!" Like, that was
And
horrible.
that wasn't,
That's not a good way to
that
process
wasn't
that or
just
tell
me.
people about it.
That was like our father's girlfriend.
Yeah, that was completely
It was
the worst
just,
part. Yeah, she was freaking, she was flipping out, man, and that's the memory that I have from that, and it definitely created trauma because of the way that it was presented to us.
Yeah.
You know, so definitely the way you inform somebody
Um,
about these things is important.
But yes, the way that we process it. So
Yeah.
we gave 2 examples there. I also feel like it's important to note that everybody deals with it differently, which I'm sure most of us know that. There are funerals I go to, and I may not know the person very closely, but I do recognize that people I love are hurting, and I want to be there for them, to help them through this process. And I may not cry, and that's okay. And other people may not cry, and that's okay. It doesn't mean that we're not sad. It's just we don't feel the need to, I guess, cry. It may not, I don't know. Also, with working with the elderly as long as I did, I learned a lot in my 4 years of hospice. There are some that really hit my heart hard. I did not often allow myself to get that close, which was just a survival mechanism I had to develop within the field, to preserve myself.
Experiences, the conversations, and the lessons you learn from some people
Yes.
make it hit close to home, even whether you prepare yourself or not
Yes.
at times. And I think that's where a lot of that, you know, connection comes from, that did make us sad
Yeah.
in the moment to see somebody, you know, that we took care of
Yes.
pass by. You know,
But
I
it's
had one
also
that I
the
was really close to,
understanding.
and yeah,
The understanding of like this is what life is.
Yes.
And we all at some point reach this part. And I love that picture I see circulating around the internet where it's somebody who has passed away laying on a table. It's this little cartoon image. And then there's the family members on their knees crying and just like touching their person that passed. And then on the other side are like the spirits of their ancestors that had passed, and they're laying there hugging this person as they're coming up from their body. And like
and I'm
it
sure
brings
that's a
me,
happy image, right?
I love it.
Yes, that's
It
cool. I
brings
haven't
me
seen it.
joy because I'm like, it is beautiful. Like, yes, we've lost people that we've loved, but they are being reunited with people that they've lost
Yes.
and that they've loved.
For the most part, the way I view it is it mostly is just difficult for us, you know.
Yeah.
We definitely can all speculate in our own ways what happens after death, but what we know for a fact is while we're here, losing somebody is difficult for the people around them, you know. But I personally, I'll only hit on this a little bit because everybody does have different opinions.
Mm-hmm.
Mine, I've noticed over several conversations over the years, is very, very different view-wise from others because I don't view death as a terrible tragedy. It's something that's going to happen to every single one of us, and I view it as not an obstacle or something that's terrifying, but as like a graduation, like it's our trophy. Good job. This is what you've done with your life. You've learned these lessons. Now we gift you ascension. You know, I've never been terrified of it. I've never looked at it. You know, once when I was a kid and I was just thinking about like, oh no, I'm gonna die. Like,
Yeah.
that was horrible. But when I got past that and processed the idea of it itself,
Yeah.
you know, and so I try to refer to that when I'm talking people through death in these situations.
I've always heard too that for us humans, and this kind of gives me some peace because I have the fear of death. I've been working with that quite a bit lately, like thinking on it. I've had to take my time with it because as long as I worked in hospice, I didn't start questioning myself until after I left hospice about my fear of it. Because I'm like, oh, I'm young, I have so many years, and I'm like, what if you don't have so many years?
That's why it's important to make the most of it.
So
I feel like you've learned a lot and you're definitely fulfilling your purpose,
yeah.
which is the idea.
No, where was I?
Hospice.
Come on, brain.
Lessons you learned from hospice.
That death is actually going to be one of the easiest things for us once we experience it.
That is one thing that's natural. We don't have to learn our way through.
Yeah, and that's what terrifies me because I'm afraid of pain. I'm afraid of the physical pain.
Your body is set up. It's prepared. Your body is pre-prepared. That's something that you never have to do. You never have to worry about.
Really?
If you're falling out of an airplane, your body does things to prepare you for impact, or sometimes you'll have a heart attack in the sky, and that's your body's way of shutting itself down so you don't experience that death trauma.
Okay. That's good to know.
Yeah.
Because that's what I've been afraid of this whole time.
And it's a beautiful thing, honestly. Like, that's one thing that you never have to worry about is up on the moment that your body and soul recognize this is it, this is my moment. That's already taken care of. That's something that's written into your script from the time, you know, that you were born.
I do find it just beautiful how many I've watched probably at least 10 to 15 people take their last breath. And
Yeah.
I remember the
Yeah.
first time I did, my breath caught. But I also just felt like that overwhelming, like,
The peace that passes
the
understanding.
peace. The peace that passes understanding. I love that.
I love it too. Those were our grandfather's last words.
Which one?
I'm not sure if they were his last words,
I was about
but
to say them.
but
Grandpa Owens?
yes, but he
Okay.
spoke that. Yeah, that's what we were on the subject
peace
on earlier.
that passes understanding.
They were the last significant words I know that I was told that he spoke.
Oh, wow.
So, last words I don't know for 100%, but yeah, he said that like the day before he passed away. Grandma or somebody was all worried, all freaked out. You know, does he know what's going on? You know, is this a hard situation for him because there had been a lot of trauma in the last years of his life.
Yeah.
And on his deathbed in the hospital, he said, "I have the peace that passes understanding," and that really.
Yeah, I
Gave
love that.
a lot of our
Thank you
family
for
peace.
sharing that.
I'm glad that we're talking about this.
Yeah.
I'm glad that we're on this discussion of death as well, because I've
Yeah.
definitely had, even recently, very recently, 2 or 3 people pass away, and I've been having a lot of conversations about death to the point that I'm almost just sheltering myself because it's almost been overwhelming lately.
Yeah.
You know, the amount of people healing and processing, and
I've seen a lot of people on my Facebook feed, like, healing and processing, and, like, I'm so happy for everyone. Like, thank you, and thank yourself for going on that journey.
most certainly, it's beautiful.
It is. And we all deserve that. We all deserve to heal.
It's important and it's necessary, and I do feel like that's our purpose, you know,
That's
to
our,
learn these lessons.
Yep. We're leveling up in life, and we're at so many levels, and then someday we're going to reach our final level.
Yeah.
I was thinking Mario.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we all experience grief differently. Just be polite, kind, mindful, and do not. don't judge others for the way that they deal with it.
Yes, you wanted to point out that it's okay to cry.
Yeah.
It's also okay not to cry.
Yes.
Everybody processes grief differently.
And don't judge
And-
yourself for it either.
Yes, 100%.
Yeah.
Biggie.
Like, whatever way you deal with it, this is a little bit of, I guess, dark humor, but we lost our dad very young. I remember the day we picked up his ashes, we were all sitting in the car together, and like one of us was holding him, and like one of us was like, hey, can you hold dad for a second? And we're just passing his ashes like between us. And
I've always dealt with things via dark humor. It makes me
Yeah.
a lot more comfortable. Happiness and that serotonin release you get from humor and from laughter.
yeah.
I have often been in trouble for laughing at the wrong things.
And some of us, like, I don't know what it is, because I'm the same way. Sometimes I'm like, girl, you gotta get this smile off your face. People don't think you're crazy. And I'm just like, this is how I deal with it.
Oh, dude, I was a tragedy laugher when I was a little kid. This is definitely off death base, but there's this time I was in like 3rd grade, and I'll try to make this quick. This kid was like, "Hey, I'm about to fight this guy. You got my back?" And I was like, yeah, I guess so. Yeah, that's cool." So he went and got in a fight, and I'm just rolling out of nowhere. I have no idea why. First punch got thrown, and I'm like, "All right, we're ready." It was horrible. So I'm just laughing the entire time. And then teachers come, they break it all up, and I'm rolling, and I don't know why. Like, I'm very uncomfortably just laughing and laughing and laughing. And needless to say, I was no longer friends with that kid after that. He just looked at me like, "What's wrong with you, man?" But,
Oh, wow.
So I didn't know either. I was
Yeah.
terrified because why am I laughing in uncomfortable situations? But that's
It's
just
like
how I
it's a
processed it at that
serotonin
point in time.
release, I guess.
I guess it was. I don't know. I was very uncomfortable. I didn't want to fight anybody. I'd never been in a fight. But yes, everybody processes things differently. So if that's, maybe you're a tragic laugher.
And
Could
that's
be.
okay.
It happens. It's a real thing. Some people laugh in
And maybe
uncomfortable
sometimes you
situations.
need a lot of physical touch and hugs. That's okay.
Hugs are good.
And then maybe sometimes you just need to sit there and talk about it and have somebody sit there and just listen. That's okay.
Being transparent with yourself in that situation makes literally all of the difference. Blocking these things out is never good. You do have to deal with it. Whether you deal with it today, whether you deal with it in a year, you have to think your way through this, and you have to understand why you feel the way that you feel. And once you do, then you can release anything that was, handed to your system by this situation.
I also talk to my loved ones that have passed. I have my dad
Yeah.
in my car with me everywhere I go. He's hanging up in this little heart-shaped, what is it called? It's a little mini,
Oh no!
I don't know what it's called.
Like the thing. What?
It's an urn, a
ashes
mini urn.
go in?
A mini urn.
There's totally a word for it.
Well, I'm gonna call it a mini urn because that's
stuff.
what it is. I have a piece of him in there, and sometimes when I'm having a really hard day, I'll just touch it, and I'm like, "Dad, be here with me today. I need ya." And I feel the calmness pass over me.
That's cool.
And Grandpa left me a little charm that I hung on there with it, so I got him and Dad together.
Neato.
Yeah.
That's cool. Kind of
Grandpa
made
Tom.
it happen for him in the afterlife.
Yeah. I don't know, guys. I do know. That's what we know. Those of you that have lost loved ones this week, much love to you, and you're processing with all that. It's okay to cry. It's okay to do what you need to do, to give yourself a little extra love. And we're sending you love. But yeah,
We're there. We're here.
yep. I think we're going to peace out now.
That was good.
Yeah.
Yep, I like it.
Alright. Bye, guys.
Much love to you all.
I lost the stick.
And best of luck in your processing.
The stick's gone.